Welcome back to the Franchise Tag Scouting Department. On today's video, I'm joined by my co-host Gabe, and we're going to be covering UNC quarterback Drake Maye. A 2-year starter for UNC, Maye is 6'4", 223 pounds, and will be 22 years old for his rookie year in the NFL. He's in that kind of top group of quarterbacks entering the top end of this draft, and he could be any of the first 3 picks taken. So with that said, let's jump right into the pros here. And I feel like the first one to kind of get right off the bat is the dual threat ability of Drake Maye. It's not quite the level of the Jaden Daniels kind of dual threat with the speed and maneuverability, but he does have it in his bag of tricks to pull out. And notably, with the comparison to Jaden Daniels there, Drake Maye actually protects himself when he runs with the ball. He's big enough to also, kind of take those hits and cover up the ball, and he steps out of bounds and he slides, and he's not leaping into players' faces. Another aspect of that, which I feel that Jaden Daniels doesn't really get into the ballpark of, is the ability to keep his eyes downfield when kind of initiating a scramble drill. Jaden Daniels, it's kind of you get the ball and there's nothing open, he's sprinting as soon as there's pressure. But Drake Maye he'll step up and he'll keep his eyes downfield and he'll consider passes, even if he doesn't do them. He'll consider a lot of options when he's getting close to that line of scrimmage before committing to taking off with that ball. And another aspect here is that he does keep throwing the ball away in the back pocket as well. If there's nothing open and if he's going to end up taking a loss, he's not scared to just chuck it, kind of just past the sticks. Now, do you have anything on his rushing tape that you specifically want to point out?
A bit, yeah. Something that I think can be a good and bad thing, but is mainly a pro. He never really gives up on a play. Like, he does throw it away if he knows that the play is doomed, but if there's any chance that that play could be successful, he's going to try to take full advantage of it.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me into a pro that I have of him, and that is that he just fully believes in his talents. And you can tell when he's watching that, for better or worse, again, he believes that he can fit the ball in any tight window and that he has the arm to do it.
Yeah. I thought when I was watching his tape, I specifically thought of in Madden, the player notes on the side, and it says like, hasn't seen a window he won't throw into or something along that. That is Drake Maye. Drake Maye will throw into no matter how tight of a window, he will throw at it if he sees even an inkling of a chance. And kind of transitioning into those passing aspects of pros, I mean, as you stated, he keeps it alive. I listed it here in my doc as he makes some of the wildest throws I've ever seen attempted, whether it be because of his arm angles. He has such a deep bag of arm angles there, or the aspect of why is he throwing that, oh my god, it was completed kind of nature.
Mid-sack shovel pass to the guy 2 yards down the field that has 20 yards to run. I saw that several times through the tape.
Yeah. The ability also to throw on the run, I think, is a big aspect of that scramble, of that, extend the play ability that he has. Able to climb the pocket, just kind of great pocket presence, in my opinion, considering the UNC pocket wasn't always great. He's able to step up, extend, and then scramble out and extend. And, I'm sprinting full speed, but I'm going to throw it 15 yards and get a first down here. He definitely has a big play potential on any play because he's also great throwing it downfield. He's got great zip on the ball. He has a great spiral whenever his throws are like on. And I think that, overall, when he's reading the middle of the field, which, I kind of went from Jaden Daniels tape, a very not middle of the field heavy offense, to Drake Maye tape, and I'm like, whoa, what? They actually throw to the middle of the field. That's crazy. Middle of the field has some ups and downs for Drake Maye, but he's able to get the ball with extreme velocity whenever he's throwing within the pocket, clean pocket, and just makes a read, chucks it to him. It's always just a very fast ball. It gets on players really quick. And then any other pros before we transition into those cons there?
Yeah, just kind of my overview of the pros is just, toolsy quarterback is thrown around every single draft, but I think he fits it perfectly. He has every skill athletically to run the ball, to throw the ball, and you can see him be completely on the money when like fading back and just launching it. You think it's going nowhere and it's hitting the receiver
Mm-hmm.
where only the receiver can catch it. And there's just no way anybody can make that throw, but he's making it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that can kind of go into the cons. And what I was saying earlier about his supreme belief in his talents is it leads to him making a lot of mistakes because
Yeah.
he's got this just inherent belief that
That
he
faith.
will be successful in his play. And so if he's just, okay, I'm about to get sacked, I might as well try to throw it. He's thrown it into triple coverage where there's no receiver in the area, also multiple times throughout his tape, which, you know, it's college and you're trying to make a name for yourself. I get it, but you also have to be safe with the ball. And I feel like most of his interceptions were not, oh, the DB beat the receiver. It was, what the hell, Drake? Why did you
Yeah.
throw that?
Yeah. Bad decision making was at the top of the list here on cons. Um, Not even from specific like, oh, I'm falling to the ground, I might as well chuck this up. Like, yeah, that's a inherent bad decision. But the aspect also of just like sometimes he throws to triple coverage. Like it's out of desperation, despite being in a clean pocket. It might just be down in distance, point of the game, being down in the game. But he does just make some bad decisions at times. And I once again listed under cons here, make some of the wildest throws I've ever seen attempted. I had to put it on here twice because it is such an up and down for him. He can make the plays, and when they happen, it's, whoa, that's incredible. How did he just make that happen? But, the other half of the time, it's, oh, he just like shovel past it as his knee was about to touch the ground, barely ahead of him, and it could have been ruled a fumble. Like, just kind of putting the ball in risky situations when if you take that, 2 yard loss, you're not really hurting that bad from it.
Yeah. The other big con that I had on him is his accuracy,
Yeah.
which he's so wishy-washy on it because he'll have
Mm-hmm.
plays like I was talking about with his pros where he will put it on the money. Nobody can throw that ball better, and there is not a better spot for that ball to go to. And then there's other plays where it feels like, going back to Madden, it feels like you're playing with like a 70 overall quarterback on all Madden, and you throw the ball and it's just a random inaccuracy and it goes 10 yards over the receiver's head to two defenders and it's picked. There were
Yeah.
also multiple scenarios where that happened, where there was just nobody in the area and he had a clean pocket and threw it and just wildly off.
Yeah. I want to get into that because accuracy is one of the major cons I have on his game as well. And I brought a stat for that. And it is that his on target percentage is 66.1%, which ranks 104th out of 125 quarterbacks with qualifying attempts.
That sounds
So
about right.
for a top three quarterback to be having that kind of on target percentage is really rough. And we've had the talks and I've seen it a lot also where it's like, oh well, he lost Josh Downs and who are his receivers? They're not doing him any favors. But it goes both ways. He doesn't do his receivers any favors. And like on slants, he puts it behind them. He'll put it too far in front of them. On out routes, I noticed time and time again on out routes, he refuses to kind of put it like out over the sideline where they're having to catch it and toe drag and be safe. Instead, they're always having to turn their body inward and try to catch it while they're getting hit with contact. And that's not very nice, Drake. That's it's and there's a couple of times where it was an incompletion due to that ball placement because they're reaching too far behind them into a DB's frame, or oh, I'm on the run and I'm throwing as this player's coming in front of me, but I'm throwing behind him so the DB picks it off, and just kind of things like that. I wouldn't say as much as you that I saw a lot of like wildly inaccurate throws like over people's heads and such, but yeah, it's like it's more so these like slightly out of frame, like okay, you're a yard or two off on this pass, and that's just causing incompletions, interceptions, just really big splash plays for the defense whenever he allows that to happen.
Yeah, I do think that there was, I don't know if it was overthrows or underthrows because there just wasn't a receiver in frame on a couple of the
Hmm.
plays. So I don't know who he was aiming at, or if he was just panicked, saw the pressure, was like, okay, let me get rid of this. And he ended up
Hmm.
accidentally throwing it straight to the defense. But that happened a few times. And the out of frame throws are, or the like off frame, I guess is how you would say it. Like the poorly placed but accurate throws
Hmm.
are really what suck.
Yeah.
And I think that, like he said himself, he really could benefit from sitting a year and kind of tuning up the accuracy, getting used to NFL receivers, getting used to an NFL defense as well. And I think that if he does get that, he can be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I think he's got both the highest ceiling in this class and the lowest floor because he could be,
Yeah.
I
This
mean,
is a boomer bust
yes,
because of the decision making and just the aspect of, he's going to always believe in himself. And I feel like that can also be a major downside because if he comes into the league fully believing in himself and he makes a few bad decisions, he makes a few game losing, plays, his self confidence is going to be shot. Like coaches are going to be on him. It could very quickly just devolve.
into a Zach
Whereas
Wilson situation.
yeah, like whereas if he, comes out and he does get that year to sit and build some confidence within his scheme, yeah, that'd be way more beneficial for him. But a team spending a top capital on him isn't so much keen to do that.
Yeah. I think another thing to add is that he is very young. Like he's
Yep.
still 21. He's going to be 22 for his rookie season.
Yeah.
And when the other QBs in this class are like some of the oldest QBs we've seen enter the
Yeah.
draft, it's really something to look at to be like, okay, he is one of the youngest QBs in this class.
Yeah.
And
These other guys have had more development time than he has, but he's still presenting as good as them, or if not better, at some parts of the game. So, yeah, that's definitely an aspect development wise for these coaches to consider.
it's the crazy wild plays that go poorly that kind of work themselves out the more experience you have. And so when you have
Mhm.
somebody that's that young with that much talent, you kind of see more of those inaccuracies and wild plays than you would in a 23, 24-year-old prospect who's played 5 years in college that kind of has it down, like a Jaden
Mhm.
Daniels, like a Michael Penix, like a Bo Nix, but you know.
Mhm. And I've got a couple more cons to kind of get through here before we get into our final thoughts here. And it's that I feel like very rarely did I ever see him throw the ball with set feet. Like, he never got to the top of his hitch and he's like ripping a ball out. It was always like, I'm at the top of my hitch, I'm going to stutter step a little bit, and I'm going to throw on one leg up for some reason. And, that comes into factor with his throws on the runs. Like, okay, he doesn't have set feet, he's able to throw accurately on the run. And that's a little bit of a pro, as I mentioned. But on the con side, why not do it when you have a clean pocket? No matter what, it felt like getting his feet to chill out, being able to just throw with like strong hips and having a strong base. It just really didn't happen much on the tape, and I feel like that's another aspect of that. Like, okay, get into the league, sit behind somebody, kind of calm yourself, get used to it. That could really improve with that kind of fundamental motion, and then an aspect again that is kind of the same part of that is that when he does these like throws, he had so many different arm angles, but sometimes he pulls them out when he really doesn't need to.
Mhm.
Same kind of point there is he's in a clean pocket, he can throw with set feet, but he chooses not to, and he can throw with a normal arm angle, but he throws a little wide arm for some reason. And I feel like just kind of a little nitpicky there, but the set feet thing is a big deal, more so than the other aspect of this, just like arm usage.
I think that something to definitely keep in mind is that he is in a college style offense, which really does prioritize the bigger shots deep down the field, which you
Mm-hmm.
don't see too much of in the NFL. Obviously, you've got your go routes, you've got your deeper shots, but really it's like two or three a game that might connect. And those
Yeah.
are big game changing plays if they do connect. So what he was doing basically every single play in college, or maybe not every single play, but what he was doing like 40 to 50% of the time in college is something he'll be doing like 5 to 10% of the time in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the style of offense he was running at UNC is going to be very different than the style he'll run in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I do think that's a good thing. And that another thing is, like I said, he's making a name for himself. He wants to show off the craziness that he can pull off. Because if
Hmm.
you're a starting quarterback on a college team, chances are you can stand still and throw a ball pretty well.
Yeah.
So,
I think like main point is that he wants to win games, and he's kind of going a little above and beyond for the chance to win a game when he could be playing it a little bit safer. But
yeah,
that's more
I
so the critique transitioning to the NFL.
yeah, I would like to see how he does on a team with a good defense. Just because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like in every game that I watched of his, it was a 30-point shootout,
Mm-hmm.
and that like he was keeping up with 30, like he was putting up 30 as the offense, and the other team just kind of bullied the UNC defense. And there's a reason you don't see too many UNC defenders high up in this draft cycle. So
Yeah.
I think that's it for the cons, though. If you don't have anything else, right?
Yeah. You can transition it.
Yeah. So in my overview, I did say most of it already, but he is just a Madden quarterback in real life. Like it's some really intriguing tape. If you have some time, I highly recommend watching it. It's very fun. And my player comp for him is Josh Allen, but if he was Jameis Winston.
Okay. Yeah. See, it's funny because you could have just left that at Josh Allen, and I would be with you because Josh Allen, I bandwagon that hate train all the way. But like, he does put the ball in some unnecessary risky situations to try to play Superman, and that's exactly what I'm seeing here. So I see it, but it is ticked up a notch to that
Yeah,
Jameis. Like I have not 20/20 vision. I'm chucking it up them.
yeah, I think that Josh Allen is a little bit more polished than a
Yes.
Drake May would be, and I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
But I do think his ceiling is a Josh Allen type player where he's
Hmm.
really good MVP level, leading a strong offense, and if you can put a strong defense behind him, you're going to be a pretty successful team.
Yeah. I think, especially, I mean, I see so much of the Josh Allen comp due to the size, the like run threat as well. Um, that arm talent, that's what you were motioning
Yeah,
to. That's,
sure.
yep.
That's what I was. Yep. Arm talent. Uh huh.
His arm talent, especially as well, kind of matches up, but with obviously less of that big arm threat, just more of the arm angles. But yeah, I can honestly get behind your Josh Allen, Jameis Winston take there a lot, and projecting him into the league. Yeah, he's likely to not get that rest year, that backup year that he wants. But if you do give him a solid defense and you kind of slow play his transition into the league and let him still take those shots, but also don't pigeonhole him into, okay, you better set your feet before you throw within the pocket and you got to throw it within 3 seconds. You know, what they tried to do to Justin Fields, don't do
Hmm.
that. And I think, he's definitely going to be coming away at least a solid starter for this rookie year.
Yeah, put him in an offense where you run the ball a lot, so he's not forced to throw his way through the
Yeah.
games, and where you have a strong defense, so he doesn't have to play hero ball all the time, and he's going to be extremely successful, and he'll develop properly. If he has a good mentor quarterback and good coaches that I wouldn't say like coddle him, but definitely kind of lead him along. Don't hold him accountable for every single mistake he makes. Well, sorry, hold him accountable, but don't fully put the blame on him and trash him for every single mistake he makes.
Yeah.
Just work on him to eliminate those mistakes from his game, and he'll be a great quarterback.
Yep. And I think with that, that kind of rounds out our scouting report on Drake May. We will have the Marvin Harrison Jr. and the Caleb Williams ones coming out to wrap up this draft process right before we get to sit and actually see what happens. And then we can talk all about where they went and all of that. So
And the final
stay
mock.
tuned for stay tuned for those videos. We got the final mock draft coming out probably day before the draft. So stay tuned. And with that, that's all we got for y'all. Deuces.
Deuces.